see a thing.
Oh, no. Yeah.
I was trying to read on the computer. What the hell's that?
And did they give you the big fashionable glasses?
Well, no,
to wear?
they have this sort of plastic thing that wraps around a thing like this, and then you put your glasses on over the top. And
Oh,
when you take it off, it just curls up. It's really
I think
interesting.
I got you set up here.
He said you'll find that
Who's
much
your
more
name
comfortable to drive.
That's, I'll go nameless.
We all know who you are.
Hi, Denise.
How
I've
are
been getting
you?
beat up in the press lately. You keep me under.
Oh, you have? I didn't notice. I've been away.
And Albert was lost the board.
I haven't been getting the Cape Gazette.
Do you like her?
I love her.
Yeah.
It's collective.
She's wonderful.
Did I turn you on her or not?
No, but, Bonnie Newborn told me you were.
Oh, okay.
Did you hear from Heidi? Is she?
I assume.
Be neglected.
She may not remember it was you.
Oh, okay. I don't know.
I actually went over there for that. I drove over there first.
I did that
Yeah.
Monday.
Well, I thought I'd come here first, and if the place wasn't occupied, I'd go down the road. Because I come in that way, so.
Oh, right, 'cause you're across the highway.
Well, I'll cover for you if it is.
8 years old, you know what that's gonna sound like.
Where's Cliff?
He had to take an earlier flight,
Oh.
and so he asked me to chair the meeting.
Where's he on his way to, France?
No, he's,
Portland? Portland, Oregon?
Portland, Oregon. His daughter lives out there, I think.
So we're gonna have a short meeting, right?
Mm-hmm.
Good.
This is not recorded yet.
We're gonna watch Encanto.
I invited some friends to watch the movie, Encanto. I've seen it. but
Watch
they
what
have-
movie?
Huh?
Encanto?
It's up for Best Animated Feature.
I saw it on Christmas Day. My
Don't
grandson
talk
picked it up.
about
And we speak Spanish. so-
Bruno. Bruno, no.
I liked it. I thought it was really sweet.
Yeah.
What's it on Netflix or something now?
It's about
I'm
the
not sure if
Vietnam
it's Disney
War.
Channel. It's
Oh,
a
Disney.
Disney, it's a Disney movie.
It's based in
I don't know what
Florida.
it's about.
Yeah, but where
How
did
do
you
I
watch
just
How do
know
you
that
watch it?
Lin
Oh, it's
Manuel
Disney
Miranda
Plus.
did the
Oh,
music,
I
and
don't know.
I know
don't
Carol
know.
really liked it. So
I
we're going
got
to Spain in May.
My daughter and her family were down a couple months ago, and they wanted me to see Encanto. So they have Disney Plus, so they put it on, so now I have it on my TV too. That's really good.
It's too much to keep up with, but Disney Plus, Hulu, HBO.
We got Disney Plus just to watch the Beatles.
I did too.
Jackson.
And,
The problem is, man, they let you try all these things for like a month and then they.
Yeah.
And then
I
they
had
start
it
charging
for-
you.
I had it
Yeah.
for Hamilton. and then
They did
Troy.
Hamilton was on Disney Plus also.
I did have Apple TV and I'm stuck with it. I like it.
I can get an
Apple
app
TV has
for,
good stuff.
that,
I
because
get-
I don't have an Apple TV, but they said I could get,
It's, they have their own content, just like
Yeah.
Netflix or anything.
I'm
Yeah.
so annoyed at Amazon though. Everything you wanna watch, you gotta pay more for the movie. Like,
Unless you're, are you a Prime member?
yeah, I have Amazon Prime, and I wanted to watch Belfast, and it was
Do you happen to know
$20.
where?
So
Actually, I think
So
we'll get
I
started.
paid
Right
it,
in New Orleans.
but I
Um,
couldn't watch the
I
whole
don't.
thing at that time, so I turned it, and when I went to put it back on, they wanted another $20.
Fine.
And I went over to the, I
Yeah.
went to the Art
Jeff
Cinema,
Jeff Bezos at his best.
Art Cinema for $8 and watched the movie.
Okay,
Have you
I'm gonna
seen-
call the meeting to
really
order.
good movie.
It's 6:33. Did everybody get a copy of the minutes?
Yes.
Any changes or corrections to the minutes from February 23rd?
Yes.
Changes, corrections,
No.
additions? motion to approve the minutes.
I move that we approve the minute.
Seconds?
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Old business, updates on the exhibitions for the summer season. Let's start with the one at the bottom because Heidi's the one for the squirts, and she's not here at this point. So can we start with Rose DeSano?
Sure,
The
that's,
monuments, that's probably the most extensive and most complicated.
yeah, we really dispense with most of the complication now. She has signed the contract. She's been working very closely with Trina Brown Hicks on the images for the four pieces. And there was some back and forth about, she sent us a bunch of images. We reviewed them, had some comments, and they're boiling it down. I think they're just about ready to choose the final images for the sculptures. So we should have that final choice by, I think, by Friday. And the installation is planned for the last week of April. And that's all I got for the moment.
Last week of April?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. I think Wednesday and Thursday perhaps, but that's not confirmed yet.
Okay. Okay, the Letha Wilson sculpture, I can report on that. That is to go in Canal Front Park in the same place where Unbounded was.
Refresh my memory, please, which one that is?
That's the one with the steel and the like leaf
It's like
images.
laminated
Okay, yeah,
green on it.
Steel and
okay.
photographs, yeah. I saw that, actually a piece like that when I was in New York. It's pretty impressive, and I think it'll really be impactful in the place that we've located, even maybe more so than the original location that we had chosen for that. The Friends of Canal Front Park has graciously volunteered to pay for and pour the pad for
Great.
that
That's good.
in that spot, and depending on whether we use that spot again next year, we'll be able to use the pad again. Hopefully we will be able to. And that install date is scheduled for sometime in the middle of May. We don't have a definite date on that.
That's good, a little staggered.
So at the moment, Barry, there's no intention to remove the pad once the piece goes. We're just going to leave it hoping to be able to use it again.
Yes.
Okay.
As far as I know, that's what.
And Barry, can you, the dimensions of the pad, do you know?
I don't have it with my, I mean.
Do you know, Janet, by chance?
I don't know.
'Cause that whole area is probably only 8 by 8,
Yeah,
right?
it's not huge. I don't have the exact dimensions.
All right, no,
And
no
I
issue.
know, I asked Cliff for them when we were talking about, the right-of-way, because Delta wanted to know how big it was gonna be.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can, well, I'm off for
Figure
the
it out.
next few days,
I,
so.
I have
can
the
look next
specs on, in my email somewhere.
Yeah,
And I believe Cliff has already sent them to, the Canal Front Park guy. Can't remember his
is,
This'll-
Rodney
This'll-
aware of the intent to leave?
I think so,
slab?
yeah, I think so.
Cause I'd like him to weigh in on that.
Yeah,
I mean, not that, we know that nothing really can grow there.
well, that's,
but-
yeah, that's what he
Yeah,
said,
but it's still an impervious,
yes,
piece, so I just would like him to be able to weigh in on that.
okay. I'll check with him in that. right, Vivian Collins, we don't have Heidi here, so, as far as I know, the spot that we're gonna have chosen for the tree-like steel pieces, they were different colors, is gonna be, where the old,
Effervescence.
yeah, effervescence was, the bottles. So it'll be in that general area. And what we plan to do, and I spoke with the park commissioner Monday, we'll probably stake where we're gonna, I think we're gonna put that and adjust it when the artist gets to the site. And we probably want to stake also the places at the Rose, the Sano, so that at least they know, because there's a couple other things going on with the farmer's market and such, so we need to kind of at least let the park commissioners know exactly where we're planning to put.
Is it Harry Kaiser for?
Yes, Harry,
Okay.
yes, Harry Geiser, yes.
I can give
Yes.
him a call and walk over there.
Yeah, that would be great.
They're similar in scale to effervescence in terms of the height.
I think they're like 5 or 6 feet, but there's gonna be 3 of them in 3 different colors. And from what I understand is we do not need to pour any kind of a pad. I think they're installed on a metal plate. And they also talked about possibly burying a couple of cinder blocks to anchor the plate to, because the artist was concerned that somebody might try to climb on the tree.
They do that.
I don't think we had any issues with the rocks, and that was right in Canal Front Park. I mean, it's always a possibility, but I just don't think you can worry about every possible thing that's gonna happen. I mean, things happen.
So would the city insurance cover that?
Yeah, I believe so, if it's on city land. That's typically what they said, even about like this bridge placement, that our policy overall, as long as it's in a city park or owned property.
Okay.
We'll have Barry out there with waivers.
Okay, so those are the 3 projects for the summer season. Community art project, Amanda Brower update.
That's
Denise?
me. Yeah, Cliff and myself, Carol Fisher from the Sea Waves Quilt Guild, Nancy. I always want to call you Kathy because I knew a Kathy Lehman. Anyway, Nancy and another woman whose name I did not get, met on March the 4th. And Carol Fisher, who is a Lewes resident, is to be our point person on this project. And she said it was a wonderful meeting, and she said if she can get many people to help sew this project to create under the direction of the artist. And we talked about getting fabrics and whatever. She's sure that the places where the Quilt Guild meets, they're empty halls. I think they meet at Conley's Chapel Church. Anyway, she said, I just need to make phone calls and people will show up and sew all day long. So it was sort of a holy cow meeting. It was really very satisfying. And then I think you all probably saw the email that went out about where our project will be.
No,
I don't think I did.
Oh,
I didn't either.
the mayor suggested that we cover the net house, or wrap the net house. So that would have high visibility in Lewes, and we talked about getting fabrics, asking people for donations if they have old curtain panels or valances or things like that. Obviously, for a project of this scale, you don't want a 9x12 piece of fabric.
You don't want a quilt swatch.
You know, you want big things, and we talked about contacting the woman at Dreamweaver on Route 1 to see if she might have scraps available. I know someone in Federalsburg who does upholstery and makes curtains. I might, even though it's not Delaware, see if they were willing to donate some remnants to us. But we'll just put out a call somewhere in the paper, or, I don't know, somehow, email blast.
Every seller has a stash of material.
Well, and they may want to donate it, but, you know, the idea is that this stuff is going to be in the weather, and so, you know, the velvet curtain could get, you know, will get wet, will fade, all of those things. But I think there was a fair amount of enthusiasm for the project, and getting people to sew seems to be no problem.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah.
Might be a stupid question, but if you're covering the net house, presumably the doors will be left uncovered so you can get in and out.
I'm sure.
Oh,
And what the
I mean, what
artist,
happened when the church was covered where you were?
Well, that particular church was empty, so
Yeah.
it was
So it
not
didn't
gonna work,
matter.
yeah.
you
it
know,
was-
I don't know what covering the net house means. If there's something draped over the roof and down or wrapped this way, apparently it was my understanding that the artist sees the fabrics that are assembled and then is inspired to create. And they will have a pattern of some sort to work from, so it won't just
Yeah.
be random sewing. And I'm sure the doors and windows will be.
Yeah,
Well,
it
they
was-
I
need-
mean,
like
does the artist
dimensions-
get to?
Would they need to know the
comment
dimensions of the
on
building?
Oh, yeah.
What might be
Oh, yeah.
chosen
Or
as a
was it-
suitable building?
God.
What's that?
Does the artist get to comment on what might be chosen as a suitable, or in her case, it might be unsuitable?
Right,
Yeah,
right.
Stop.
I think the choice is made for her.
Oh, okay.
Because, I mean, for a public project like that, and she can't just go pick a building.
Say, hey, we're gonna rock your building.
How about the Zwatendale Museum?
Is there a time frame for this yet, or is it still too early?
Next year, but.
It's next year, but, you know, I think we're gonna kind of have to back into that. I don't know, you know, what the artist will want. I mean, my guess would be we'll have to talk with her and say, when should the call go out for fabrics? When should we measure
Right.
the building, send pictures of it? You know, what do you wanna do? So I can't answer that right now, but that's my guess. But I think, you know, once the sewing begins, it'll go pretty fast if we get fabric. So don't throw anything out
Well,
between now and then.
there've been a series of letters in the New York Times about men's ties. That nowadays men don't wear ties anymore and have a collection
I've got it.
to get rid of. And, oh, they're beautiful
Oh,
fabric.
yeah. I was gonna make masks out of them.
I know someone who made belts out of them.
I've seen someone make a
I've
skirt-
seen
skirt out of it.
I've seen that.
crazy quilts made out of them, but,
I-
maybe they could go in this thing too.
I think what someone would have to do if they had that is get someone to sew them together, because a tie is very
They're
small.
small.
But, you know, were you to put ties together and have a piece of fabric like that, oh, I'm sure they could be incorporated. But anyway, do not recycle any of your curtains or valances, bedspreads, quilts, anything. Sheets, printed sheets.
Nancy, do you recall how they affix or at least make sure it doesn't fly off in the wind?
They had some kind of, I can ask, they had some way to affix it to the building. Like, I don't know if they just, this was an old church that was being made into a community center in Buffalo, but at the time she did this, it was vacant, and, you know, they did work after the fact, so they may have just, you know, drilled in anchors of some sort, but I can find out.
I imagine we could use a
glue. No, I'm kidding.
Is there any plans to involve younger people with this, or like the high school, or?
That could, yes, that could certainly happen.
Because
Millennial
as a-
cell?
I mean, as a community, I mean, to me, this kind of a project is really public art.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, and it really engages the whole community.
I'm sure there are plenty of,
Because, people could say, well, that was my curtain, or,
Yeah.
I mean, and then, and it just creates, a lot of excitement, and
yeah.
I think it'll be really good exposure for
Yeah.
this
I think
group.
Carol would be very amenable to working with students, and I'm sure plenty of students at Cape Henlopen know how to sew, or anywhere else.
Yeah.
You
And
know.
beyond the Quilt Guild and the high school, we can put out, a public in the Cape Gazette looking for people who want to come and sew for a couple hours on a particular day. I mean, it's a real community event, and that's how it was
They
handled
need
in-
their own machine, though. That's
That's
the-
I thought she
Carol said
provided
that.
machines.
No, she said, I will put out a notice. When they quilt, she said they appear with their machines and they work all day long. They're use portable machines.
Right.
The sweatshop.
I think
So-
the artists may provide some of the machines as well, though. So, I mean, I'm
Yeah.
not sure about that, but
I thought I read that on her website.
that's what I thought too.
But the other thing is, if someone wanted to contribute to this, they could work at home on part of the pattern or something else, putting fabric together or hemming it or whatever, and contribute it. If they don't have a portable machine.
Yeah.
But that's what the quilters do. They,
COVID masks would be a little gross. You'd rather burn those.
Yeah, maybe not yet.
is there a men's tailor? I'm just curious around here. Any men who do tailoring? I mean, because there again, it could be more community involvement, more business involvement. I mean, every dry cleaner has somebody who does
Graves.
alterate,
there's
anyway,
one up-
just a thought.
Doesn't Graves do the uniforms still, right? Or they're just ordering them in?
Yeah, I think,
I don't think they do any
I don't think
sewing
they
or
do
anything.
tailoring.
oh, just a thought.
I'm not sure. Okay, any other comments about the community art project? Okay, this is under new business, which is not on here, but, the Recreation and Parks, Commission, under myself and, Janet and, Rodney, just employed, a master planner for, Great Marsh Park. And the reason I mention that is Great Marsh Park is gonna be, I think, a great opportunity for us to put sculptures, temporary, maybe permanent sculptures. One of the things that we mentioned to the planner, and we had a meeting about a week ago with the park planner, was Eric Wall, who's very familiar with Lewes, and has worked with, the company is called Panoni. And the first thing that they will do is do kind of a survey of what's there, not only a physical survey, but also what kind of trees are there, what needs to be removed, where we can put trails, where we can do other things. And one of the things that we did mention to the planner is the possibility of doing sculptures there, whether it be a sculpture trail or locating sculptures throughout the park. But that's a great opportunity for this group to take a look at the impact that we can have on the development of the park. So there will be public meetings. That's a part of the park planning process. And all these things will be mentioned and looked at, whether it be, a trail or a bike trail or bird watching stand or whatever it is. It seems like the primary focus of the park is going to be more passive recreation. In fact, the surveys that we did in the past indicated that most of the residents that took the survey wanted passive recreation, and that means things like hiking, bird watching, those kinds of things, not necessarily tennis courts or ball fields or things like that, although that is a possibility. But the site primarily is wooded, so, I mean, there's gonna be limitations in terms of topography, vegetation, all those kinds of things. And what he will do is take all these ideas about how we can use the park and integrate it into a plan. And what I guess what I'm saying is this group needs to have a voice in terms of how that plan kind of comes out, because I think it's a great opportunity to use the space for, you know, passive recreation, and also it's a great spot to do sculptures. And I don't know, I'm sure most of you have been to sculpture gardens or sculpture parks, and I mean, I remember going to one in Holland one time. It was this huge 100-acre site, and they let you, they had bikes that you could ride, and there were trails all over the park, and there were just sculptures everywhere. It was just amazing, you know, like rocks hanging from trees in a sling, made of cable, and it was just all kinds of stuff. So it's
How much acreage is that?
66 and a half acres. It's our biggest resource as a recreation department and as a town. And to me, Great Marsh Park is kind of like our central park. We need to preserve that, and especially since it's adjacent to the Great Marsh Park, I think we need to sort of honor that connection there and provide space to you know, enjoy the flora and fauna. And I think a sculpture park could do both. You're actively using the space, but you're sort of honoring the.
So is Eric starting straight away on the plan?
Oh, he's,
Yeah.
yeah.
Is
We're
there a,
meeting with him next Tuesday on site
Yeah.
at the park, yeah.
is there a date by which he's supposed to have the plan completed?
Yes, the end of October.
Okay.
It should be complete, which is a fairly,
It's
Yeah.
very aggressive,
Mm.
but.
Rodney kind of laid it out and felt that it was, well, it was aggressive, but
Achievable.
there's
Yeah.
also a clock ticking, you
Mhm.
know, so we
Right.
have to, that reference is that the Great Marsh Park is on a 20-year land lease from the state, and one of the points in the agreement is that for renewal, is that we have to have a master plan for the park approved by the state for them to renew the lease. So we're 16 years into it, and, you know, there have been attempts in the past.
Would you
Several.
define for me what are the limits of?
Okay, so you know where Park Road is?
Yes,
Okay, off New Road. Both sides of the road, all the way to the, I call it the bridge, but it's sort of like a.
It's like a bridge.
Yeah, it's like a bridge on one side, like a causeway.
Yeah.
Right before you get to the back entrance to University of Delaware. So both sides of the road,
okay,
that's Great Marsh Park, and it abuts all of those houses
okay.
on New Road. And
So it's where the dog park is as well?
it's where the dog
Okay,
park
all
is.
right.
If you're driving down University Park, you look on the right-hand side, it's a lot of overgrown.
Yeah,
foliage.
So if you turn
I
right to
just
go
was curious.
in towards the
Right.
university,
Right.
it's on the right-hand side of that road, is that correct?
Is it
Or
on?
is it on both sides of
On
that
both
road?
Both sides of the road.
What about Canary Creek?
Yeah,
Well,
the
there's an
development?
entrance to Canary Creek, but
And Harbor Beach.
There's-
I want to tell you something. A
And there's an entrance
Just
to
reminded me.
Harbor Point, but those entrances are just sort of like a right of way. I mean, there's land on both sides of those entrances, and the land behind, or the land on the left abuts city property that is not to be developed or
Yeah,
supposed
looks
to be
like
open
farmland.
space.
Does it abut Harbor Town?
Yes,
It does,
yes.
okay.
Harbor Point, yes,
Okay,
yes.
You know where, it's essentially the
Yeah,
area
yeah.
adjacent to University of Delaware.
yeah,
Yes,
okay.
yeah, it's all that land.
I guess I didn't realize it was both sides, though.
Well, I mean, on the left side, it doesn't go as deep.
Okay,
On the right side, it goes much farther
Okay.
back. It goes, farther back than the dog park.
So it also then backs up to the end of, what are those streets, Rodney and
Harbor View.
Kind of, yeah.
kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
okay.
Yes,
Hornkill.
Hornkill, yeah. So, it's a big space, so I only mention that because I think we can be involved in that process, and we really should be.
it's waiting for us.
It is. Any other news, new business?
Yes. Putting my other hat on,
Okay,
Art in Bloom.
okay.
It is our intention to fill in the paperwork that's included in the policy on selection and placement and installation and maintenance of public art on city-owned land for, to be submitted to PAC for the April meeting.
Good.
That's for Cape Spirit, by the way, in case you didn't realise.
The name of the sculpture is Kate.
That's the name of the sculpture.
All right, we'll have that put on our agenda for the next meeting. Any other comments? Short meeting.
Yeah.
Julian, is there
Could be a
anybody
record.
in Zoom?
Yeah, is there anybody in public?
Heidi mentioned she had a class that she was teaching tonight. She just sent a message. So.
Okay, thank you. No comments in Zoom.
Okay,
Oh, here we go. Oh, just Trina saying thanks.
we're good? Okay, we can adjourn the meeting then.
Yeah, Barry.
All
You
in
need
favor?
Oh, okay. I was
Aye.
thinking-
All in favor of adjourning the meeting?
Yeah.
Aye.
I,
Okay.
Man, that was a very
We're done?
efficient meeting.
Yeah.
Well run.
Yeah.
Well
You
done.
want me to run more meetings?
Yeah, people are gonna be flocking to join the Public Arts Committee.
Yeah.
Recording.
I dumped something terrible in